Hi, I'm Larry Veliquette with Automotive News. When I was 18 years old, this vehicle came out. It's a Toyota 4Runner. This is the first generation, and it's in pristine shape, but it was 40 years ago. And for much of that time, this has been an iconic, beloved vehicle among off-roaders. Finally, after 15 years, we have a new generation of Toyota 4Runner. It's over here. This is the 2025 Toyota 4Runner TRD off-road. It's a variation meant to take the abuse off-road. But right now, I want to bring in a special guest to talk about that vehicle. So I'm here with Alan Dreiman of Always Toyota, who did this restoration. So Alan, welcome to Automotive News. First, I want to ask you about where you found this vehicle. Tell us what it is and why you restored this one.
Sure. So I found it out in Pomona, California. It actually belonged to a tech who worked at Toyota. He had it for quite some time and just never really got to finishing it up. And he knew that, he'd find it a good home with me. So couldn't get there fast enough with my truck and trailer and, did a fun little restoration on it.
So how long did this take to restore?
I bought it December 3rd of 2023. So a little bit over a year now. I finished it about a couple months ago. So I'd say about a year. Yeah. The truck didn't run when I first bought it. So I tried to diagnose the motor, all the mechanical aspect. And I'm a strong believer on if it's not broken, don't fix it. And slowly but surely, a lot of things on this one had to be replaced. But it's a champ now.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. Tell me your experience with 4Runner, what it means to 4Runner owners.
Sure. Well, I think this one specifically is very notorious because it's the first year of the fuel injection and the last year of the solid axle. And these are the unicorn year, in my opinion, for Toyotas when it comes to 4Runners because it was only offered 1 year, right? So if you went to 86, you would get the independent front suspension. And if you were in 84, you would still get that 22R carbureted motor. So I think even up to the new 4Runner nowadays, people see this and they're like, wow, respect, that's awesome. Yeah. And you can't go wrong, right, with an old school Toyota.
So why do people love them so much? I mean, you've got Wrangler in this segment. You've got Wranglers and CJs in this segment. You've got Broncos that are came back. You've got Scout coming back. What does 4Runner mean for 4Runner owners?
I think reliability and family too, right? Because people can go wheeling with their trucks, and those are usually 2-seaters. This one, you've got a 5-seater. And you can take the top off too, which to me is awesome. I know 4Runner stopped doing that, Toyota stopped doing that, but taking the top off, turning it into a convertible, it's the 1 year only, so it's generation only. So I think there's just so many aspects to it, but reliability, at least for me, I could say.
So tell me all you had to do with this vehicle. Let's take a look around.
So the first thing that we did was obviously mechanical. We had to rebuild the motor. I'll show you guys the engine bay in a bit. But mechanically, just the basics, right? We rebuilt the motor, rebuilt the transmission, brakes.
How was the body?
Body was actually great shape. Great shape. So
that's lucky.
Yes, and no rust either. That's why, when I'm buying these and restoring them, rust is always a key aspect to it, right? Even though there's a bunch of panels that we can replace nowadays, but rust was great. It was a 3-owner truck, so it was kept in good hands. It wasn't tossed too much. It did go wheeling a few times in its life, but
no trail rash though.
No, not at all, thankfully. So
I looked.
good. Yeah, and then what else did we do? We redid the entire interior, so new carpet, new seats, kept the original door panels. The dash pads are always cracked on these. They're usually cracked because of the sun, so we restore those in-house as well. And that's pretty much it. The headliner stayed original, thankfully. And then all the exterior badges that you'll see were restored as well. Re-chromed the rear bumper. That's the original bumper that was on the truck on the front. Polish up the rims. And we've got original hubcaps in the front and rear. So the more you look at it, the more details you'll notice that belong to it.
Now I want to show folks this engine bay because it's pretty spectacular.
Let's do it. While you're actually looking there, if you see right here, this gasket right here, so these also only came with a chrome molding, a hard molding, right? And throughout years, we would notice that it would seep through and usually would rust on your cab mounts right here because the water would drip down here. Sure. So what I started doing on our builds was putting this rubber gasket. So it kind of seeps over, it kind of misses the cab. So that's why you'll see this trim. This was not factory. This is kind of like a retro new.
Cool. All right.
Go.
We're just gonna stick. Ah, there we go.
Go. Boom.
Perfect.
There she is.
So this is the 22 RE.
Yes.
First year with electronic fuel injection.
Exactly. So we added some headers, some aftermarket headers from LCE, California compliant. They add a little bit of power, I will say. And obviously, you know, fully rebuilt motor. We took everything out of here. We repainted it, plated some hardware, replaced all the essentials. And yeah, you know, got the stickers remade. Just all the little details. I mean, hoses, miscellaneous, you know, grommets, gaskets, anything that's still available from Toyota.
Yeah, these are the 22 RE is such an iconic engine because like the AMC inline six, right? They were indestructible,
Bulletproof. I mean,
yeah, just absolutely bulletproof. Not
no
overly
oil.
Complicated. Yeah, just
drive them.
yeah.
So yeah,
So-
fires right up.
Where do you source them when you have to get a new
The
one?
motors, honestly, you can still find a lot of parts available, but you know, I like to keep a few on backup that are just rebuilt and ready to go, right? Just pop and go kind of deal. And there's still so many parts available, which to me makes you know, it's a lot more fun when like you can just grab and go versus like waiting so long to get that one part. You know, interior wise, a completely different story, but I think for mechanical wise, they're out there.
Well, you got to spend some time in this today.
Yes.
And tell me what's your thought about the comparison?
Night and day difference, you know, night and day difference. This is a luxury item in comparison to this, right? And I used to daily one of these for many years. And then after just doing it and then kind of seeing best of both worlds, I'm like, just so much more comfortable, you know, but all in all, you can hop in, you know, you can go off-roading, you can do whatever you want. And the next day you can go to the office with the same car. So I think that's like the best part about both of these.
Are you ready to embrace a independent front suspension?
Let's do it. Yes, of course, of course. Hey, they still do the same job. You know, the solid front axle is a lot heavier, so you definitely get a much smoother ride with the IFS. But all in all, they're both great rides.
Well, Alan, thank you so much. I
course.
appreciate talking to you.
You too, Larry.
Fantastic.
Yeah.